You open a drawer this morning expecting a simple pair of scissors, and instead your hand lands on something you haven't seen in 20 years. It's a little faded, a little dusty, and it sends a tiny spark of warmth through your chest. But right behind that warmth is a question you didn't expect. Why am I still holding on to this? Moments like this aren't accidents. They're gentle nudges, the kind your grandmother understood without ever putting into words. She knew when something in the home had quietly outlived its purpose, long before clutter had the chance to grow roots. And if this already feels familiar, tap like and hit that hype button. It helps more seniors find comfort, clarity, and a little more breathing room in their day. Because by the time we reach the end of this video, you'll uncover the unspoken truths older generations lived by, truths that can bring more ease to your mornings, more safety to your steps, and more lightness to the home you've worked so hard to build. And I'll share a modern little trick Edelwyn Grace used, one that turns hard decisions into gentle ones. Welcome to Wise Aging Seniors, where every new chapter of life becomes softer, steadier, and more peaceful. If you're new here, subscribe and stay growing with us. Now take a breath with me, and let's start with the quiet kind of wisdom Edelwyn believed every home needed, the kind that doesn't raise its voice, but changes everything once you hear it. Brutal truth 1. The things you keep are borrowing space from your comfort. Your grandmother may never have talked about mental load, but she understood something we forget in modern life. Every object sitting in your home makes a small demand on your body. It's the tiny shift you make when you reach for something and your fingers brush against an item you no longer use. It's the slight hesitation when you open a cabinet and feel just a little squeezed by everything inside. Those moments used to go unnoticed when you were younger, but after 60, your body becomes more honest. It tells you the truth before your mind admits it. Clutter is stealing tiny pieces of your comfort. Edelwyn Grace had a simple belief: your home should help you move, not slow you down. And she was right. Today, specialists who study aging talk about something called microbarriers, small obstacles in daily spaces that make movement feel harder than it needs to be. A crowded countertop. A nightstand with too many little things. A kitchen drawer packed until it sticks. These small interruptions drain energy, and they do it quietly, day after day. So here's your gentle action, the one shift that creates immediate relief. Choose one spot your hand touches often. The place you set your glasses, your phone, your cup of morning tea, or the arm of your favorite chair. Clear just that one surface until your hand lands on it without touching anything else. Don't decorate it. Don't refill it. Just let it be open space. What happens next is almost instant. Your breath settles. Your shoulders drop half an inch. Something inside you whispers, "Oh, that feels better." It's not about having less, it's about giving your body one small place where it can move freely again. That tiny patch of space becomes a quiet reminder that comfort doesn't come from keeping everything, it comes from choosing what truly supports you now. Brutal truth 2. Clutter gets louder when your body is tired. There's a moment in the day, usually late afternoon or early evening, when your body has already done enough. You've walked, reached, bent, lifted, cooked, sorted, or simply managed the natural weariness that comes with age. And in that moment, even the smallest bit of clutter suddenly feels louder. Not in sound, but in pressure. It's the way your eyes land on a crowded dresser or a busy kitchen counter, and instead of ignoring it like you did in your younger years, you feel a subtle tightening in your chest. Your grandmother understood this long before anyone put a name to it. She decluttered before her body reached its tired point, because she knew her evening peace depended on it. Modern research has caught up to her wisdom. Decision fatigue, the mental strain of having to choose between too many things, becomes more intense with age. It's not weakness, it's biology. When you're tired, your mind simply wants softness and clarity, not a dozen small reminders of unfinished tasks. That's why clutter feels louder at the end of the day. It isn't the mess itself, it's the timing. Your brain is asking for rest, and overload steals that rest without you noticing. So here is a simple, doable action that restores ease. Pick the one surface in your home that your eyes land on every single day. The place you don't even mean to look at, it just pulls your attention. Maybe it's the spot by the sink, the top of your dresser, the entryway table, or the little landing zone beside your favorite chair. Clear that one area until it feels visually quiet. Not perfect. Not magazine ready. Just quiet. What happens next isn't dramatic, it's deeper than that. Your brain stops bracing itself. The visual noise softens. You feel a gentle kind of silence you didn't realize you were missing. It becomes easier to think your own thoughts again instead of reacting to everything around you. This is the relief older generations trusted. A quieter home that protects your energy, especially on the days when your body has already done enough. Brutal truth 3. If it doesn't hold a story, it holds you back. There's a quiet kind of honesty that grows with age, the ability to recognize which things in your home still speak to your heart and which ones have fallen completely silent. Your grandmother understood this long before decluttering became a trending word. She didn't keep things because they were expensive or because she felt guilty throwing them out. She kept something only if it carried a memory, a purpose, or a small spark of meaning. If an item didn't tell a story, she didn't give it a place in her life. And that wasn't harshness, it was wisdom. She knew a home filled with forgotten objects becomes a home that forgets to take care of you. Modern insight only reinforces that truth. Emotional weight is heavier than the physical object sitting on a shelf. Sometimes it's not the pile of papers or the unused gadget that exhausts you, it's the uncertainty. The should I keep this? The maybe I'll use it. That internal tug-of-war drains more energy than the clutter itself. After 60, when your emotional bandwidth becomes more precious and your heart naturally leans toward what feels meaningful, this kind of invisible weight matters more than ever. Here's a gentle action that brings immediate clarity. Choose one item around you right now, anything that catches your eye, and ask a simple question: what story does this hold? Maybe it reminds you of someone you love. Maybe it brings back a warm moment from years ago. Maybe it represents a season of life that shaped who you are today. If the story is there, the item earns its place. If no story appears, no meaning, no pull, no memory, then the object is holding space you might need for something better. The relief comes the moment you decide. Instead of feeling torn, you feel grounded. Instead of being surrounded by things that quietly drain you, you start surrounding yourself with things that reflect your life, your history, and your values. You feel connected again, to your past, to your present, and to the home that's evolving right along with you. This isn't about letting go. It's about letting your life, your stories, and your comfort speak louder than the clutter that never earned its place. Brutal truth 4. A home too full stops feeling like yours. There's a moment many older adults don't talk about. That quiet shift when your home, the place you've cared for and shaped for decades, slowly starts to feel less like your space and more like a storage hub for everyone else's needs. Your grandmother guarded her personal spaces fiercely, not out of selfishness, but because she understood something we often forget. A person's sense of self is tied to the corners they can call their own. She kept a sewing basket no one else touched, a bedside drawer only she organized, a kitchen shelf arranged exactly the way she liked it. Those small, protected spaces didn't just hold items, they held identity. Today, life looks different for many seniors. Medical devices take up space in living rooms. Grandchildren's toys spill into the hallway. Adult children's things linger long after they've grown. Helpers, nurses, or visiting family bring in their own belongings. Slowly, the home you once arranged with care becomes crowded with objects that don't reflect your routines, your tastes, or your comfort. It's not intentional, it's life-shifting, but the emotional impact is real. When every room feels shared, you can start to feel like a visitor in your own home. Here's the action that restores a sense of ownership without overwhelming effort. Reclaim one spot that is yours and yours alone. Not an entire room, just a single space with clear boundaries. Maybe it's the top of your dresser, one shelf in the living room, the small table beside your recliner, or a corner of the kitchen counter. Clear it off. Choose only items that reflect you today, not who you were decades ago, not what others need, but who you are now. Arrange them gently and intentionally, even if it's just a favorite photo, a soft lamp, or a book you reach for often. The relief doesn't shout, it settles. Something inside you whispers, yes, this is mine. Your identity quietly re-anchors itself. Your home begins to feel like a place that supports you again, not a place you're squeezing yourself around. It's a small act, but it restores a deep sense of belonging and control, two things every adult deserves at every age. What's one small corner of your home that you'd love to reclaim this week? Tell me in the comments. Your idea might inspire another senior who needs encouragement today. Brutal Truth 5. Dust isn't dust, it's yesterday piling up. There's a certain stillness that settles on things when we leave them untouched for too long. Your grandmother noticed it instantly, a thin layer of dust catching the light, a quiet reminder that something had been sitting in the same place for weeks or months. To her, dust wasn't just about cleanliness. It was a sign that life had moved forward, but the objects around her hadn't. Fresh air, open windows, and clean surfaces weren't chores. They were ways to keep the home mentally and emotionally awake. She knew that when the air felt light, she felt light. Today, that old wisdom carries even more weight. Indoor air quality has become a major concern for seniors across the United States. Modern homes are sealed tighter, windows stay closed longer, heating and cooling systems circulate the same air, and dust builds faster than it did decades ago. And dust isn't just dust, it's skin cells, fibers, pollen, old scent particles, bits of paper, and tiny fragments from objects that haven't moved in ages. When it collects on things you don't use anymore, it creates an emotional fog too, a subtle sense that your home is aging faster than you are. Here's a gentle step that brings surprising clarity. Find one object that's been sitting untouched for a while. Maybe it's a knick-knack on the shelf, a picture frame on the dresser, or a decorative item in the hallway. Don't decide whether to keep it, not yet. Just pick it up and wipe away the dust. Feel the weight of it. Notice whether it brings you warmth or nothing at all. Sometimes, clearing the dust reveals that an item still means something. Other times, it shows you that the only thing keeping it here was habit. The relief comes from both the action and the decision. The moment the dust is gone, the air feels a little clearer, your breathing eases, and the room looks somehow more awake. You're not erasing memories, you're refreshing your space so it supports the life you're living now, not the days that have passed. A single cleaned object becomes a tiny opening for new light to enter the room, and for a bit of your own energy to return. Brutal Truth 6. If it's hidden, it isn't helping you. Your grandmother lived by a simple kind of logic. The things you needed most were kept where you could see them, reach them, and use them without thinking. She didn't dig through drawers for her sewing needles or climb a chair to reach the spices she used every day. Her home worked with her body, not against it. But modern life has pulled many of us into a different habit. Tucking things away, stacking them behind cabinet doors, or packing them into drawers for later. Before long, the things that should make life easier become buried, and the things that get in the way stay front and center. For older adults in the United States today, this isn't just an inconvenience, it's a genuine safety issue. Experts now talk a lot about hidden clutter, the kind you only notice when you reach for something and have to bend too far, twist awkwardly, or shuffle through items you don't actually use. These small movements are some of the biggest contributors to falls at home, especially when fatigue sets in or mobility changes with age. When something useful is stored too low, too high, or too far back, your body compensates, and that's where the risk grows. Safety isn't just about keeping floors clear, it's about making sure your essentials are comfortably within reach. Here's one small shift that brings both safety and relief. Choose a helpful item you use daily. Maybe your favorite mug, your blood pressure monitor, the remote, your lotion, or the vitamins you take every morning, and bring it to eye level. Place it where you can reach it with a natural movement, not a strain, stretch, or careful balance. Don't reorganize the whole shelf. Just rehome that one item so it supports your body instead of challenging it. You'll feel the difference almost immediately. When your essentials are visible and easy to reach, your movements become smoother, your steps feel steadier, and your mind relaxes. There's no searching, no bending, no frustration. Just a quiet sense that your home is protecting you instead of making you work harder. Safety rises. Stress drops. And your space becomes a little more aligned with the life you're living now, not the life you had when reaching into the back of a cabinet was effortless. Brutal Truth 7. Someday is the most dangerous word in the house. There's a particular kind of item almost every older adult keeps, the thing saved for a moment that never quite arrives. The dress you might wear someday, the craft supplies you'll use when you finally have the time, the fancy dishes meant for a special occasion. Your grandmother understood how dangerous that word truly was. She knew that waiting for a perfect day often meant missing the quiet beauty of the day right in front of you. To her, postponing joy, use, or comfort was a silent thief. She refused to let her peace depend on a future moment she couldn't control. Today, someday items carry an even heavier weight. Modern research shows that they create emotional tension, a kind of invisible pressure that lingers in the home. They remind you of things you meant to do, skills you meant to learn, events you meant to attend. They whisper unfinished promises. And as the years pass, these items shift from hopeful to burdensome. They take up space not because you need them, but because you're holding on to who you thought you might be someday. For seniors in the US, this emotional tug is especially real. Life changes, mobility, energy levels, routines, and the future becomes less about someday and more about today, if I can make it gentle. Here's a small, compassionate step. Choose one item you've been saving for a perfect moment that hasn't yet come. Hold it, and ask yourself the real question your grandmother would have asked. Is this bringing me comfort, or is it reminding me of something I no longer need to chase? If the item carries pressure instead of purpose, give yourself permission to release it. Not because you're giving up on anything, but because you're choosing peace over postponement. The relief is immediate and surprisingly emotional. Your chest loosens. Your mind quiets. The future stops feeling like a room filled with expectations and starts feeling like a space you can step into with ease. When you let go of one someday, you make room for the days that actually belong to you, the ones that offer real moments of comfort, real rest, real joy, and real life happening right where you are. Brutal truth 8. Your good things were meant to be used, not guarded. There's a quiet habit many older adults carry, passed down from a generation that lived through hardship, saving the good things for a moment worthy enough to justify them. The beautiful mug that stays at the back of the shelf. The soft blanket reserved for company. The fancy lotion kept sealed so it doesn't get wasted. Your grandmother understood this instinct, but she also learned something wiser as she grew older. Enjoyment was her way of honoring the life she had, not something she needed permission for. Using the good things wasn't indulgence. It was gratitude in motion. Today, many seniors in the United States are embracing a shift that feels both modern and deeply comforting. Joy belongs in the present tense. The idea of saving things for later loses its meaning when the real reward is feeling nurtured now. Researchers who study aging call this the immediacy preference, the natural pull toward experiences that bring calm, comfort, and emotional nourishment in the moment, not in some unknown future. And it makes sense. The older we get, the more our daily rituals shape our well-being. A warm blanket on your legs, a mug that fits perfectly in your hands, a scent that reminds you of a peaceful time. These are not luxuries. They're anchors. Here's one small but powerful shift. Choose a good thing you've been protecting instead of enjoying. Maybe it's that pottery mug with the smooth rim. Maybe it's the soft throw you've kept folded for guests. Maybe it's the expensive lotion you received as a gift and never opened. Use it today. Even if it's just once. Bring it into your life instead of letting it sit like a future promise. The relief isn't loud, it's tender. A little warmth spreads through your chest. Your morning feels softer. Your evening feels calmer. You realize that treating yourself kindly with the things you already own doesn't take anything away, it gives something back. It turns small moments into comforting rituals. It reminds you that your life today is worthy of the good things you've been saving. You deserve that softness, not someday, but right now. Brutal truth 9. You don't need permission to begin again. There's a belief many of us were raised with, that reinvention is something meant for the young, for people starting careers, raising families, or taking big leaps into the unknown. But your grandmother lived through seasons that demanded resilience long before it became a popular word. She reinvented herself after losses, after moves, after changes in health, after children grew and left home. Reinvention wasn't dramatic for her, it was practical. It was survival. She didn't wait for someone to tell her it was the right moment to start fresh. She made the moment herself, even in the smallest corners of her life. Today, emotional renewal is becoming one of the strongest trends among older adults across the United States. More seniors than ever are choosing to refresh their routines, lighten their homes, and create spaces that match who they are now, not who they were 20 or 30 years ago. It's not about chasing youth, it's about claiming comfort, identity, and joy. Researchers call it continuity with a twist, keeping the familiar parts of your life, but updating them so they support your current needs. And the truth is, you don't need anyone's approval to do that. You don't need a big life event. You don't need a reason. You simply need the desire to feel more at home in your own life again. Here's the gentle action that opens the door. Choose one small area, a nightstand, a side table, a kitchen nook, a spot by your favorite chair, and reset it as if you're moving in today. Clear everything off. Bring back only what feels useful, comforting, or genuinely you. Maybe that means a new lamp you've been wanting to use. Maybe it's a book you're actually reading. Maybe it's a single photo that lifts your spirit every time you look at it. Make the space feel fresh, not by buying anything, but by letting it reflect the version of you that exists today. The shift is subtle but powerful. Standing back, you feel something loosen in your chest, a small, bright spark of yes, this feels right. The space no longer holds old expectations or outdated routines. It holds possibility. It holds presence. It holds you, exactly as you are in this season of life. And that spark of renewal, once lit, tends to spread. Not in a rush. Not in a dramatic makeover. But quietly, in a way that feels natural and deeply earned. You're not starting over, you're continuing forward with intention, and you don't need permission to do it. Brutal truth 10. If it doesn't make you smile, it's not supporting your life anymore. There's a moment that often happens without warning. You walk past something in your home and feel a tiny flicker of annoyance, heaviness, or even nothing at all. Maybe it's a knick-knack you stopped noticing years ago, a gift you kept out of obligation, a faded decor piece that no longer reflects who you are, or an item tied to a season of life you've long since outgrown. Your grandmother believed something very simple: home should lift you. Even the quiet corners. Even the small objects. Even the things you barely touch. She didn't need science or studies to know that when a room made her smile, she felt steadier and kinder in her spirit. Today, researchers studying senior well-being are confirming what she sensed all along. Your environment has a direct impact on your mood, your clarity, and even your physical ease. They call it emotional ergonomics, the practice of shaping a home so it gently supports your mind instead of draining it. After 60, this matters more than ever. Your home becomes the place where you rest, restore, and move through familiar routines. If even one item in that space pulls your energy down instead of lifting it up, it creates a subtle emotional drag that adds up over time. Here's a simple step that brings noticeable relief. Look around the room you're in and choose one item that no longer sparks anything warm in you. Not anger, not guilt, not obligation, just a quiet sense of why is this still here? It might be something small, a dusty decoration, an outdated picture, a stiff throw pillow, a piece of wall art you've stopped relating to. You don't need to declutter the whole room, just remove that one thing that isn't supporting your life anymore. Pay attention to what happens next. Without that silent weight, the room feels a little softer. Your eyes rest more easily. Your breath deepens without you trying. You feel more present, more grounded, and more at peace. It's the emotional equivalent of opening a window on a warm day. The air shifts, just enough for you to notice. When you surround yourself only with things that make you smile, even in the smallest way, your home becomes a gentle companion. It stops being a place you navigate and starts being a place that nurtures you. This is the kind of comfort you've earned, one small release at a time. There are moments in decluttering that feel heavier than the objects themselves. Moments when you stand in front of something and just don't know what to do with it. Maybe it carries a half memory. Maybe it belonged to someone you loved. Maybe it simply feels too important to toss, even though you haven't used it in years. Most people try to force a decision in those moments, but Edelwyn Grace never did. She believed choices should feel kind, not rushed. That's how her 3-breath rule was born. A simple ritual she used when the heart and the mind weren't quite agreeing. Here's how it works. Stand in front of the item you're unsure about. Don't pick it up yet. Don't judge it. Don't talk yourself into or out of anything. Just be still. Then take one slow breath. Long in, long out. Your shoulders loosen. The noise in your mind quiets. Take a second breath. This one settles your chest, softens the tension you didn't know you were carrying. And then take a third breath, the kind that reaches all the way to your belly. By that third breath, your body tells the truth your thoughts might try to avoid. If the item still feels heavy, emotionally, mentally, or physically, that heaviness is your answer. Release it. Let it go without guilt, without story, without pressure. But if the item begins to feel gentle, comforting, familiar, or simply right, then it has earned its place. Keep it with confidence instead of uncertainty. What makes this rule powerful isn't the breathing itself. It's the dignity it restores. You're not making decisions because someone told you to declutter. You're not reacting out of guilt or obligation. You're allowing your body, your spirit, and your lived experience to guide you. Older adults often say they know what to do, but they just need a moment to hear themselves again. This small ritual gives you that moment. It turns a stressful decision into a compassionate one. It protects your memories, your boundaries, and your peace, all without overwhelm. And in a home that's evolving with you, that kind of clarity is worth more than anything you could store on a shelf. When you step back and look at everything you've released, reconsidered, or gently rearranged today, something subtle begins to shift inside you. Decluttering isn't really about getting rid of things. It never has been. It's about honoring the life you're living now, not the life you lived 20 years ago or the one you thought you should be keeping up with. Every small choice you made in this video wasn't about reducing your life. It was about expanding your comfort, your movement, your emotional breathing room. And that's an act of self-respect, not sacrifice. There's a kind of peace that comes from knowing your home is supporting you instead of silently challenging you. When the surfaces you touch are clear, when the items around you hold meaning, when your body can move without hesitation, something soft returns to your day. You feel steadier walking through your own rooms. You feel calmer waking up in the morning. You feel more present, less weighed down, and more connected to who you are in this season of life. Wise, capable, evolving, and deserving of ease. Older generations learned this the hard way. Your grandmother didn't declutter because she wanted a pretty home. She did it to protect her peace. She knew that a home with space is a home that gives you back energy, clarity, and dignity. And today, you've taken steps in that same direction, not for appearance, not for trends, but for your well-being. You created room for joy. You created room for safer movement. You created room for your heart to rest without clutter whispering for your attention. If this helped you feel even a little lighter today, tap like and hype so more seniors can find support and comfort. Your engagement makes it easier for others your age to discover tools that help them breathe easier at home. And if you want more gentle guidance, encouragement, and companionship on this journey, subscribe to Wise Aging Seniors. Together we're creating calmer homes and stronger days, one gentle step at a time.